What's up, Dragon Brood? I almost held off on doing a day 3 video because there wasn't a lot that really got previewed today. It's actually kind of a small list, but I figured, what the hell? We're on a streak, might as well keep it up. So let's go into day 3 previews for Innistrad Crimson Vow. Alright, first up we have Riven Flame. 2 colorless and a red instant. Riven Flame deals 5 damage to target creature or planeswalker. If that permanent is a spirit, Riven Flame also deals 2 damage to that permanent's controller. Kind of a random card. Like, it's 3 mana to deal 5, which is kind of nice. It only hits creatures and planeswalkers, so it doesn't hit the opponent. However, if we think there's going to be enough spirits in the format, then randomly if you kill a spirit, you also get to deal 2 damage to your opponent. We don't have to kill it. You just deal damage to it. You get to deal another 2 to the opponent. That actually seems okay, but I mean, do we need to be paying 3 for 5? I almost feel like this is almost a better sideboard card if we expect there to be a lot of spirits. But otherwise, this kind of is like a weirdly spaced removal. I don't know. I'm kind of like somewhere here, slightly up, but not great on this one. All right, we have Cemetery Protector, 2 colorless, white, 3/4, human soldier, flash. When Cemetery Protector enters the battlefield, exile a card from your graveyard. When you play a land or cast a spell, if it shares a card type with the exiled card, create a 1/1 white human creature token. Okay, because of how this is templated, it doesn't say when you play a land or when you cast a spell. So I would assume you have to remove a land for the land to count for getting you the 1/1 human. That aside, even removing a creature means every time you play a creature, you're going to get a +1, or you're going to get a 1/1 token. Put this alongside the green-white card we saw a couple days ago. Every time you play a creature, you'll get a additional creature. Like, you start getting into this world where you can have a lot of things, and this is a turn 3, turn 4 play that lead to you being able to have a lot of creature tokens without actually having to dump your hand. You can go wide without doing a whole lot. So this could lead to some interesting white aggro decks depending on which way they want to go. I kind of think this is a good card, and it has flash, by the way. Like, let's not forget that. I mean, during your opponent's instep, let's say they do play a sweep or burn down the house or something. During their instep, you pay 4. Not only do you get a 3/4, but now every creature you play after that is likely to get you an extra creature. This is actually pretty good, and 4 toughness to boot. Valor Stance. Colorless and a white for an instant. Choose one. Target creature gains indestructible to end a turn, or destroy target creature with power with toughness 4 or greater. This is a reprint. Likely finds a home, possibly just being sideboarded for the white aggro decks against maybe mono green or some such. But I don't hate it. It's actually a pretty useful card all over. And if you just have it as a main deck card to give something indestructible, that's not the worst thing, but it most likely is going to be a sideboard player. Alright, this is one we're reading a translation here, but Engulfing Tide, 2 colorless, blue, sorcery. Each player chooses a non-land permanent they control. Return all other non-land permanents to their owner's hand. Then draw a card for each opponent with more cards in hand than you. Oh boy, this card's going to be annoying. So you pay 4, each person picks one thing, and then we return all the other things. Now, it's possible the blue deck isn't even returning many things, depending on how you play this. But also, could be a situation where you are playing permanents, but you just have the best thing, so everybody returns everything, and I have the best thing left on the table. So, I don't know, but this card will get some play. I don't know where it goes, but it's definitely going to show up somewhere. Giralf, Visionary Stitcher, 2 colorless and a blue, 1/4, legendary creature, human wizard. Zombies you control have flying, that's pretty sweet. Pay a blue and tap it, sacrifice another non-token creature, create an XX blue zombie creature token where X is the sacrificed creature's toughness. So you can get rid of other creatures to make more zombie tokens. Actually, zombies without decay. That's actually an important thing to note here. And it gives all your zombies flying. So this is actually pretty cool. We were just talking on stream not long ago, maybe 2 nights ago, about having a situation where we're playing more creatures or blue-black zombie type creature deck, and this is something that would fit perfectly into that. It is a 1/4, so it can block a little bit, It's only 3 mana, which is pretty solid, and it doesn't look like you have to use the ability as a sorcery, so if you have a creature that's going to die during combat or some such, there you go. So yeah, this card, I actually think it's playable. Not necessarily great, but depending on which way the zombie decks go, could end up being great. Investigator's Journal. 2 colorless. It's an artifact that's a clue all by itself, actually, which is interesting. Investigator's Journal enters the battlefield with a number of suspect counters on it equal to the greatest number of creatures a player controls. Then you pay 2 and tap it, remove a suspect counter to draw a card, or you can sacrifice it to draw a card. This card's just good, right? Like, worst case scenario, you're going to pay 2 to have a thing that just draws a card, but more often than not, you're going to get to draw, I'm assuming, at least 2 or 3 cards off of this. Like, this seems okay. I mean, if I was playing a slow, like Azorius control type deck, I might try to find room for squeeze 2 of these in there. Especially on the turn before you sweep the board, where you're like, okay, I'll play this, put 3 counters on it, and then I'll go ahead and sweep the board, right? Like, this is pretty cool. I like the design of this card. And this is the last one we're going to cover today. There's a couple other cards, but they don't seem all that exciting as far as worth talking about. But if you want to discuss those others, feel free to hop over to the Discord. We're talking about all kinds of things over there. But here we have Innocent Traveler, 2 colorless, black ball, 3 human creature. At the beginning of your upkeep, any player may sacrifice a creature. If no one does, transform Innocent Traveler. It becomes a Malicious Invader, which is a vampire on the backside. Interesting. 3/3 flying. Malicious Invader gets +2/+0 as long as an opponent controls a human. So you're either getting a 3/3 flyer on the backside, or you're getting a 5/3 flyer if your opponent has humans. The opponent can sacrifice creatures, so this actually becomes kind of bad if we're in a world where there are a lot of, like, make human tokens decks. But if not, this actually becomes pretty useful because your opponent has to decide, well, if I don't sacrifice anything, you're getting a 3/3 flyer. Like, is it worth it or not? I actually don't mind that. And even if you play this after a board sweeper or something else, like your opponent doesn't sacrifice anything against the control decks, let's say, well, then you just paid 4 mana for a 3/3 flyer. Like, that's okay. Not great. Again, it's all right in environments where your opponent's going to sacrifice things that matter to you. So yeah, I'm giving this one kind of a thumbs down. I think it may show up in a deck or two, but realistically, this isn't one I expect to see a lot of. Yeah, and that's going to do it for today. Day 3, easy wrap up. Wasn't a lot of cards to talk about, so this one's actually short and sweet. Also, don't forget, we have previews going to be up every single day. We're still putting up our daily gameplay videos and other content for that matter. And I have a new YouTube channel as well. You can see the description, or the link in the description below. If you want to see me eat weird things and review stuff that's useful to you or whatever and just be a goofball, check that out. It's PowrDragn Reviews and Reacts. I'd appreciate it. Otherwise, remember, like, subscribe, share, all that wonderful stuff. And I will see you next time. That's all I have for you for now. Let's go.